What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you come in and check out the content. And with this being said, man, I want to say that as far as this Michael Jordan and LeBron James GOAT thing goes, I, I think I think that argument is just about it's like one like the people everybody who um people in general was pushing against it, right? Like the fan base was pushing against it as far as Mike being the GOAT and the greatest of all time. And what happened was like the mainstream media, they was trying to redirect, you know what I mean, or continue to push that narrative. But once you had ex NBA players and guys who have played with Mike and guys who had the opportunity to play against Mike and to see Mike and all that. It just that right there, I thought just really just that was the final nail in the coffin as far as I'm concerned with that GOAT argument, right? And so you don't even really hear them saying that too much anymore about the GOAT argument. Like I said, because it was just so much of a pushback. You still have some diehard LeBron James fans who want to continue to push that narrative and stuff like that. But now you have people even challenging, like, was LeBron James even better than Kobe Bryant? Was he better than like Tim Duncan? Like, where does Tim Duncan play into when it comes to the GOAT? And other players are coming up, right? And so, like I said, that and I think that is mainly based or contributed to the fans who just wasn't going to go for that. You know, like I said, people who had the opportunity to watch basketball like I did from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s and all the great players that you have seen over the years. No way in the world, those fans are going to allow LeBron James just to come in and push this narrative and take over that GOAT mantle, right? And so, with that being said, I just ran into a post. This post came across my timeline a while ago, and this was Avery Johnson having a discussion with Mark Jackson. Avery Johnson played with the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs won 5 championships. I don't think Avery was there for 5. I think he was there for like 2 of them. And then Tony Parker came in and replaced Avery Johnson. Tony Parker, you had Manu Ginobili was there, after Avery. Avery was had got up in age. And he played with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, that crew. Sean Elliott, I think, was there at that time. And those guys, and they had kind of aged out. And then Greg Popovich brought in Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, right, to help Tim Duncan out and some other pieces that they had put together, right. So Avery was a really good, NBA point guard. He's an old school pass first kind of point guard back in his day. He wasn't a scorer. He had to really work on his shot at one point in time in his career because teams was like sagging off of him and double teaming Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So he made people respect this shot once he started working on his jump shot. And then, so you had to stay honest. But Avery Johnson is, in my opinion, like an NBA legend. I'm not saying he one of the greats, but he had a really good career. So, like I said, Avery Johnson was on. I don't know. He was talking to Mark Jackson, right? And so, let me play what Avery was saying on Mark Jackson's podcast, then come back and give some more of my input on this thing that's really it's really been crushed, right? This Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate.
The greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah, so you know, we can really peel back all of the numbers. You can even go with the eye test, but everybody else is a distant second behind Michael. Michael, just for all the different reasons, but when you win 6 championships, you're the MVP of all 6. You never get to a game 7. And all of the defensive player of the year, the first team all defense, first team all NBA, MVPs, regular season MVPs. I think there was another stat that, he didn't have as many. It was a revolving door of free agents that he played. And he did it with one team. And he had to go through Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics and the Lakers, Phoenix Suns, and Clyde with that Portland team that could have easily won championships, and Karl Malone and Stockton with Utah. The rules were different. There was a lot more restricted freedom of movement and physicality. So yeah, it's Michael.
So I mean, I can never really get tired of listening to that right there, because he just went down the list. First of all, you got a guy, Michael Jordan, who won 6 championships. None of those teams that that played against Mike in the championships took him to a game 7. That's crazy. So nobody took him to a game 7. He won 6. He MVP in 6. And you could never look back on Michael Jordan's career and say, well, he shrunk in this moment. He didn't come through for his team when they needed him. And this guy, when you look at the guys that he dominated and the guys that he kept from getting a ring, while while he was playing, you wasn't getting no ring. Not those 6 years that Mike had dominated. You wasn't getting no ring. Clyde Drexler was a bad dude. He beat Clyde. Karl Malone was a bad dude. He beat Karl. Charles Barkley, and these, I'm naming these guys because these are all guys, like, if they play today, like Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, like these guys, man, just was historically great. I mean, the NBA was so tough back then, and so it was so deep and so much talent back then. Then you had Gary Payton with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Gary Payton defensively was a beast. He was locking people down. Gary Payton was a beast. Sean Kemp, man. I think they had Nate McMillan on that team on a Seattle team. Then who else? And like you said, they had to go through the Lakers, Bird, and and when Mike first got to the league, man, the Celtics, Mike used to always get his numbers. But the Celtics, you had Kevin McHale, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, and and so much talent. That team was so deep. That Bird team that used to beat Mike up, they also beat Detroit up. So and for as tough as Detroit was, that Bird team just, like those Celtics back in the day was a beast, man. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Rob Parrish, man. And Detroit couldn't even get past those guys at first. It was tough for Detroit to get past those. Then they, you know what I mean? Then they went back and forth with the Lakers, so the NBA it was just different. And like Avery Johnson said, they restricted your movement. So you could get hand checked. All this, it just wasn't easy to get into the lane. Then when you got in the lane, you got to worry about getting hit. If you was fortunate enough to beat somebody off the dribble, then you had to worry about getting hit, which Mike got hit all the time. Mike got knocked to the floor. It just wasn't, like I said, I could listen to that interview because Avery Johnson just ran down everything that separated Mike. And it's like the things that he said left no debate. When you talk about somebody going to like 6-0 in championships, not getting forced to a 7th game, then you're talking about somebody who won MVP, regular league MVP, regular season MVP, then the MVP of the finals, that's stuff that, like LeBron James, I don't care how many points LeBron James score, he can't compete with that. That's just tough. That is just tough. And this Mike, Mike dominated in a league, like I said, that was just so much more. It just was so much tougher back then, and he did it to, to guys who, man, if they had to play, if it wasn't for Mike, I think all of those guys, Charles Barkley probably would have had a ring. Karl Malone would have had a ring. Let me see. Patrick did make it to the championship. Patrick Ewing, he made it to a championship, but he went against Olajuwon, and they lost to Hakeem Olajuwon and all. But the league just was so tough back then, man. And yeah, man. Like I said, anybody who runs it down like Avery Johnson just ran it down, man. I could just listen to that all day. So yeah, I do think that you don't hear too many people talking about that GOAT debate. Like that GOAT debate, like they squashed that, man. And I think it's more so it was like the fans, the outrage of the fans is what caused everybody to come on. It was like, come on now, man. You talking about Mike. I don't care how many numbers this guy put up, man. You talking about Mike. So that's my take on it, man. I just wanted to go back over that old that old clip of Avery Johnson, man, just putting the clamps on that GOAT debate. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.